basically threatened to shoot Kendrick if he comes to Toronto.
Remember when Drake said if Kendrick ever touched down in the 6, it was on sight? Turns out that might not have been just rap talk. Kendrick just dropped a video claiming Drake actually tried to have him taken out. This isn't music beef anymore. This is real-life danger. Could Drake actually be under investigation? Could he even face arrest? Let's break this down, because the streets are buzzing about death moves being made. Word is, Drake allegedly tapped a Toronto street figure, his associate, Top 5, to handle Kendrick. And here's the wild part. Top 5 had already been running his mouth long before this. This dude had just beaten a murder charge, and instead of laying low, he was online talking reckless, warning Kendrick that he'd end up in a casket if he set foot in Toronto.
I guess he said that Drake, paid for his lawyer and helped him get off and everything else like that. He did an interview and he basically threatened to shoot Kendrick if he comes to Toronto.
But not everyone was buying into Top 5's tough guy act. The OGs who've really lived street life weren't impressed. Whack 100, who's been around real killers and knows the difference between authenticity and clout chasing, called him out publicly and hit him with a brutal reality check.
Oh, dude is nobody. Come on, we watched this same dude get mushed in the face and kicked in the ass. Oh, I was only 19.
Wack wasn't playing no games with his assessment either.
I don't know where y'all come from, bro. We off the porch at 12, right? We ain't going for that. What you mean you was only 19 when you got mushed in the face and kicked in the ass? How you supposed to be when you got the heart of a man not allow that to happen? So, dude just do a lot of talking.
Real recognizes real, and Top 5 was exposed as a fraud on camera. Still, even if the man was bluffing, the threat couldn't just be dismissed. This was happening in the middle of a Drake-Kendrick feud that had already crossed into dangerous territory. This rivalry goes back years. It first sparked in 2013 when Kendrick jumped on Big Sean's control and called out Drake along with other rappers, announcing he was coming for everyone lyrically. Back then, it was competitive energy, sharp bars, but nothing deadly. For over a decade, the shot stayed subliminal. Drake slipping lines into tracks like The Language, Kendrick firing back with King Hunter. But in 2024, everything changed. J. Cole called Drake, Kendrick, and himself the big three on first-person shooter. Kendrick wasn't having it. On March 22nd, 2024, on Future and Metros like that, he dismissed the idea completely. The big three? It's just Big Me. From there, all hell broke loose. Drake fired back with push-ups on April 19th, clowning Kendrick's height and features. Then Kendrick went nuclear between April 30th and May 4th, dropping Euphoria, 616 in LA, Meet the Grahams, and Not Like Us, for devastating diss tracks loaded with explosive allegations. Kendrick accused Drake of hiding children in inappropriate relationships with underage girls. Drake countered by alleging Kendrick was abusive and questioning the paternity of his kids. This wasn't just battle rap anymore. This was personal warfare meant to destroy reputations. Then, it spilled into the streets. On May 7th, 2024, gunmen opened fire outside Drake's Toronto mansion, hitting his security guard multiple times, including in the chest, and sending him into emergency surgery. This wasn't warning shots. This was life or death. The timing? Just days after Kendrick dropped Not Like Us, which featured Drake's home on the cover art. Police claimed they couldn't confirm a connection to the beef, but the streets thought otherwise. Soon after, more crews tried to break into Drake's property, pushing the idea that disrespect in music was fueling real-life violence. Veterans of the culture compared it to the deadly East Coast, West Coast war of the 90s between Pac and Biggie, proof that this was no longer about lyrics.
The whole thing is, when you say certain things, you gotta remember the police and the feds are watching. So, yeah, Top 5 is a street presser, Bun. Drake, he got real over there. Top, he got real over there.
Tony Yeo broke it down, warning that public threats like Top 5s could bring serious heat from law enforcement, even if both camps had real street connections.
It's some that these two could get on the phone and maybe work out, maybe not. But they multi-millionaires. So for Top 5 and all getting into it and different people, I just think you just gotta be careful because police is watching.
The crazy part? These were two of the richest men in hip-hop, and yet real street soldiers were ready to catch bodies over their feud. Top 5's threats weren't happening in isolation. They came on top of shootings, break-ins, and rising tensions. The fact that Drake had allegedly helped fund Top 5's legal defense on a previous murder case only made it worse. To the streets, that suggested he might have muscle on payroll ready to move.
He's coming down on appeal. The driver or the shooter, one of the two. He's screaming Drake's name.
Then came the darker twist. Out of nowhere, Drake's name got linked to an entirely different murder case. Dedrick Williams, one of the men convicted in XXXTentacion's 2018 killing, filed appeals trying to connect Drake to the murder. His lawyer, Mauricio Padilla, even pulled up old beef and suspicious social media posts. One post from X before his death read, "If anyone tries to kill me, it was at Champagne Poppy. I'm snitching right now." X later claimed his account was hacked, but the words look chilling in hindsight.
You have the attorney saying a lot of things, right? Me personally, I don't think that's Drake's style. I don't think Drake's into that. I don't think he had a reason to do that.
Whack 100, always plugged into both the streets and the industry, explain how desperation, especially when you're facing life in prison, can make people stop pointing fingers, even at the biggest names in the game.
But, right, when you start playing with certain people, right? When you start playing with certain people, we're witnessing this as we speak. When you start puffing on the wrong cigar, smoke will come. We watch old Puff Daddy play with the wrong people, right? And we watch something get exaggerated to a point to where fun or what people chose to do is now a federal case and you looking at 30, 40, 50 years, right?
He even compared Drake's situation to Diddy's, warning that celebrity ties to dangerous people can spiral into RICO cases and federal charges. It's a dangerous pattern. Music moguls who start in art, but end up neck-deep in the streets.
We watched Geronimo Pratt. He did 33 years for a crime he didn't do, right? Could they have investigated that correctly? Did they turn the blind eye to a few things? Absolutely, right? I mean, it's evident, it's blood, right? We didn't know, now we know. Okay, we'll let him go, right? So I'm just saying that I don't think certain things are a coincidence when things start happening when other things are happening.
Whack 100 brought up the case of Geronimo Pratt, the Black Panther leader who was wrongfully imprisoned for decades, to highlight how the system can twist facts to frame someone when it suits their agenda. His point was clear. Cross certain lines will threaten certain interests, and those in power will find a way to make charges stick, guilty or not. In the XXXTentacion murder case, a judge ruled that Drake didn't have to testify, and his lawyer maintained there was zero evidence tying him to the killing. But still, the fact that his name was publicly linked to such a high-profile murder cast a long, dark shadow over the already heated Kendrick situation. And this wasn't just old history. Violence was erupting in real time as the feud escalated. The May 7th, 2024 shooting outside Drake's Toronto mansion left the security guard fighting for his life after taking multiple bullets, including one to the chest that could have been fatal. The hit came only days after Kendrick dropped Not Like Us, featuring Drake's home on the cover art. Toronto police wouldn't officially connect it to the beef, but the streets could see the pattern. Break-ins, trespassing, repeated security breaches, all signs that Drake had become a deliberate target. And the pressure wasn't just in Toronto. On June 30th, 2024, in Vancouver, Rick Ross got attacked by Drake supporters after playing Not Like Us at his show. Footage captured Ross taking a punch to the face before a full-on brawl broke out between crews. Ross tried to downplay it, but the visuals told another story.
Hey man, I'm thinking about the event that happened over there. Let me tell you something. When the first dude stepped up to Rose, the little short fat one that looked like Bam Bam Bigelow from wrestling, when he stepped up, and then I squat down in his eyes and told him what I said. Basically, boy, if I hit you, I'm gonna see everything you ate for the last 2 days. His dropped out of his, and then I got hit with a drink. I'm still convinced ain't no punch me. Somebody said, Rose tried to punch you, he hit you. I say, nah, he had to throw a drink, because throwing a drink would have been way more disrespectful than screaming, I do MMA.
Even if Russ brushed it off, the fact was undeniable. Drake's fans put hands on another major artist simply for siding with Kendrick. And when Drake himself liked social media posts celebrating the attack, it became clear the boundary between rap competition and street retaliation was gone. Then came the most unsettling rumor yet. Word spread that Drake had allegedly sent threatening voice messages to Kendrick's camp during the height of the beef, calling himself a mob boss. If true, that would mean Drake had completely lost sight of what this was supposed to be about. The idea of a pop superstar adopting the persona of a crime boss to threaten another artist's crew was absurd, but also dangerous. It painted a picture of someone surrounded by yes-men and immersed in street cosplay for so long, he'd started believing his own hype about having real killers on call. Whack 100 breakdown of the corporate chess game happening behind the scenes offered even more insight into why things were spiraling.
That UMG situation is a giant. The people we see aren't really the people behind it. It's deeper than we...
He hinted that Universal Music Group might have been more involved in stirring and amplifying these beefs than the public realized.
And when you go to playing with something like, he's requesting he wants a piece of UMG. That's one of his demands.
Drake.
And when reports surfaced that Drake was pushing to secure ownership stakes in his own label, the puzzle pieces started fitting together. This wasn't just about lyrical dominance. This was about millions in corporate power, contracts, and control.
But when you got lawsuits going on and certain demands going on, and I don't know, man. I hope.
Even with all his industry knowledge, Whack 100 looked uneasy. He seemed to know this was heading into dangerous territory.
Drake has never done anything to me. He's always showed me love. It's just I hope he knows what he's doing when he's playing with this type of situation.
The warning was clear. Drake was playing with forces that could destroy everything he'd built. This wasn't just another rap beef. It was becoming something bigger, darker, and harder to control. Darren picked up on that same sense of dread. The conflict had grown into a monster that could swallow Drake whole, no matter his money, fame, or connections. As the list of violent incidents, dark affiliations, and murder rumors grew longer, the hip-hop community had to face an ugly truth. This feud had moved way beyond rap. Death threats, shootings, and bloodshed weren't just headlines anymore. They were becoming the new normal. And in the streets, one question kept coming up. How much more violence before someone ends up in coffin? Then came the ultimate act of disrespect. After months of threats, gunfire, and whispered murder connections, Kendrick dropped a bombshell. His grand national tour with SZA would stop at Toronto's Rogers Centre on June 12, 2025. The entire rap world froze. Industry veterans couldn't believe it. This wasn't bold. This was kamikaze-level disrespect, the kind of move that could get a man killed. Whack 100 broke it down with a kind of street wisdom that only comes from decades in the game. The implications for Drake were devastating.
You know what I'm saying? It could get...
If Drake truly ran Toronto the way his fans claimed, how could Kendrick book the city's biggest stage and turn it into a celebration at Drake's expense?
Well, that's Drake's hometown. How do you think this is going to go down?
Well, it's obvious. At least we can say, well, at least Drake ain't in control of Toronto because he ain't stopping that show. Okay, we can paint that picture because they've been
It's already been booked at this.
The prediction was as obvious as it was terrifying. Kendrick would perform Not Like Us in Drake's own backyard. The only question, would he make it out alive? But the Toronto triumph wasn't just a concert. It was proof that Kendrick had done the impossible. This wasn't just winning a rap battle. This was reshaping hip-hop's entire cultural landscape. Not Like Us had already cleaned up at the Grammys and fueled Kendrick's Super Bowl dominance, but Toronto was a crown jewel. Hey, in the heart of Drake's territory, Kendrick wasn't just tolerated, he was celebrated. And Drake couldn't stop it.
So, for them to book Kendrick up there like that, well, hey, listen, it's letting you know either it was a myth on how much pull he had, and or they saying, hey, look, out with the old, in with the new.
Behind the scenes, Drake's legal war with Universal Music Group had backfired badly. UMG, instead of protecting him, threw their full weight behind Kendrick. They could have blocked the venue. They could have made calls. Instead, they stood by and let Kendrick deliver the most humiliating blow possible.
It's a new king here.
I mean, what's going to happen when Kendrick performs Not Like Us in Toronto? Because he's going to have to perform it. There's no way he could do that show without performing that song.
Wack's prediction about lasting damage was coming true in real time. This wasn't a moment. It was a permanent shift in power. While Kendrick was getting love in enemy territory, more stories leaked about Drake's alleged threatening voice messages and mob boss talk. It painted the picture of a man completely detached from reality. No amount of threats, street talk, or intimidation could stop what happened next. Kendrick flipped Drake City against him, a feat that had seemed unthinkable just months earlier.
That high five between Dr. Dre and Lucent. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like, hey, we're daddy. We're going to do what we want to do. You ain't running nothing.
Right.
It's just real, you know, it's real talk. You know what I'm saying? I think Drake he's pushing the Kendrick train another 5 or 10 miles per hour than it would normally be going.
Wack's earlier dismissal of top 5 threats proved prophetic. All the tough talk melted away when it was time to act.
The little dude, 140 pounds, do a lot of talk. Ain't nobody worried about dude. You know, Kendrick could be all right.
Kendrick's Compton upbringing had prepared him for exactly this. Walking into hostile ground, facing real danger, and still walking out on top.
He is who he is. His team is going to make sure he's right. And he's focused, and he come from a city where he was raised in that and had to walk down the street. Bro, nobody has an issue with Drake. It was a rap battle, a friendly one. This was a rap battle, a friendly one. Nobody disliked Drake. Drake didn't lose any fans or lose anything from us. Drake is still Drake.
Wack's attempt to downplay the moment rang hollow against what everyone had witnessed. This wasn't just a great performance. It was a declaration. A statement about who really had the power, authenticity, and street credibility in modern hip-hop. In one night, Kendrick stripped Toronto of its Drake City title. The Not Like Us moment was devastating in its simplicity, a cultural coup that showed rap battles could still change the game. On June 12, 2025, in Drake's own city, Kendrick Lamar achieved the impossible. He conquered enemy territory, walked away victorious, and left Drake to face a new reality. His hometown was no longer his safe haven. The myth was gone. The street credibility shattered. And all of it at the hands of a real one from Compton who had outplayed him at every level.